Welcome to Nasdaq TradeTalks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq. The ADP Research Institute is known worldwide for uncovering data-driven labor market trends that shape the world at work and help business leaders make informed decisions. ADPRI's newest workforce report, Today at Work, aims to do exactly these things. With me to talk about Today at Work is Ben Hanowell, ADPRI's Director of People Analytics Research. Ben, it's great to see you as always. Welcome to Trade Talks.
Well, thanks for having me on the show.
You got it. Can you tell me more about Today at Work and its aim?
Sure. Today at Work is a quarterly workforce report that combines two rich data sources. And the first of these is ADP data that represents over 25 million US workers. And the other one is over a decade of worker sentiment surveys that have reached over 490,000 workers in 29 countries. And by combining these two data resources, we present a three-dimensional picture of work and the people who do it. And the goal here, Jill, really is to inform the decisions that business leaders and workforce analysts, HR practitioners and policymakers, and members of the workforce face in the workplace.
What makes Today at Work unique and different compared to other workforce reports ADPRI has published?
That's a good question. So what sets Today at Work apart is that we're combining ADP's unparalleled human capital management system data with scientifically validated worker sentiment surveys that many businesses have started to trust. And we're combining over a decade of experience in research about worker sentiment, the thoughts and feelings that people have about the work they do, as well as our expertise identifying trends in the labor market and our experience as HR analysts using the type of data that ADP collects to inform day-to-day workforce management decisions of employers. And you put these things together, you'll see the value reflected in the report.
What were some of the key findings coming out of Today at Work, the report that was recently published?
So one of the biggest assets of any employer is the people in their workforce, right? And that's probably why over my entire 10-year career as a workforce analyst, employee retention has always been top of mind among company leadership. And in this edition of Today at Work, we tackle that issue from two separate angles. The first is that we use ADP payroll and HR data to look at the impact of managerial promotion on the chance that somebody leaves their current employer. Because think about it, you get a promotion through your company's ranks, and it may improve your motivation and your commitment to that employer, right? Because they're recognizing you for excellent work. But on the other hand, that promotion improves your job prospects, which may also increase the risk that you're going to leave that employer for somewhere else. And our findings bear this out. We find that managerial promotion increases the risk that somebody will leave their current employer for the first 6 months, and then the gap starts to narrow after that. So that's the first angle. And the second angle is that we tackle the issue of how to measure motivation and commitment that people have to their employer. It's hard to do because it's in people's heads, right? And to do that, we created the Employee Motivation and Commitment Index, which uses our monthly worker sentiment surveys to track trends in motivation and commitment dating back about 2 years ago to the present. And we find that this index, it varies widely based on the context in which people do their work. To give you an example, the EMC index is highest for the technology sector when it comes to industry comparisons, but it is lowest among the transportation and warehousing sectors. And that's just one example of an EMC index finding. There's really so much in this report.
Well, Ben, let's stick with the EMC index. Why is this something leaders should be paying attention to?
One reason leaders should take note is that the EMC index is strongly related to workers' self-reported productivity. So there's implications for the bottom line. And another reason is that the EMC index is also related to workers' intent to leave their employer. So there's implications for turnover costs. But beyond that, because the EMC index varies widely based on the circumstances surrounding somebody's work, it drives home this idea that motivation and commitment in the workplace is a state that you're in based on the circumstances in which you find yourself, and not some trait that you either have or don't have. And that means that an employer is in a position to influence it. Now, some employers get that point more than others, and we hope we'll bring those other employers along.
Well, circling back to the findings on promotions, how can businesses best go about handling promotions and what comes after?
Yeah, because a managerial promotion increases the risk that somebody will leave their employer. over the first 6 months, it means that an employer loses about 14 days of productive work over a 9-month period after every first promotion they award somebody. Now, that's enough for us to think about how we might improve the retention among the people we promote, but it's small enough to be manageable, right? But what does it mean? Well, employers should probably support the people that they promote in taking on this new responsibility. So they don't just take that promotion and use it in negotiations in finding another job elsewhere. But also, employers need to have a strong bench so that, if the LeBron James or the Sue Bird of their management team, and I'm sorry I'm using a basketball metaphor, the season hasn't started yet, I can't help myself, but if that star player leaves their team for another franchise, they've got another player ready and willing to take the place.
How can business leaders and HR decision makers utilize Today at Work to improve their businesses and workforce?
Well, number one, career development does not end when somebody gets a promotion. In some sense, that's just when another chapter of their career development begins. And second, again, keep that good bench so that if somebody leaves your leadership team, another leader is ready and willing to take their place. But third, I recommend you dig deeper into this report, go beyond just the headlines. For example, if you are a leader of an organization that employs a large frontline workforce, retail, warehousing, restaurant, you should pay close attention to one of our findings that is actually below the fold, and that's that the promotion impact is strongest for people working jobs that require only a high school diploma or equivalent. Now, think about why that might be. Is it because the promotion is one of the few things that these workers can take in their search for a new job, a better job? Is it because in large frontline workforces they have the least support for people who are taking on new management responsibilities? Or is it just because the low wage labor market is so tight right now? There's no one size fits all. It depends on the employer and the context, right? But I recommend that you take our ideas and our findings and test them out and act on the results of those tests in your own workforce where you have more information than we do about your business and your investments. That's my advice.
And finally, Ben, what else should we know about Today at Work as an ongoing series?
Well, it's a quarterly report, right? So there's much more to come. And every quarter we will cover a different topic about the workplace. And you can find these reports at our website on adpri.org, where you can also subscribe for email updates and you can see all the other great work that we do at ADP Research Institute.
All right, Ben, thanks for joining me today on Nasdaq Trade Talks and telling our viewers more about Today at Work. If you're interested in reading the full Today at Work report, you can visit the link that we're displaying on the screen right now. And remember, Today at Work will be publishing every quarter with new actionable workforce insights, so be sure to subscribe and stay connected to adpri.org to get the latest Today at Work updates coming from the ADP Research Institute. Ben, it was great to have you with us. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks, and thanks for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.